This is a Android Auto / Apple CarPlay capable stereo by Haudio. I believe that's the pronunciation on it. And let's go ahead and get into it. So it looks like we've got a frame, got a bunch of different cables that you'll need, got some brackets that you could use. So guys, this is gonna fit your double den. It's gonna be like that. It's gonna fit your double den standard car situation. It's got a spot for a GPS antenna. I mainly plan on using, Android Auto. So just using like Google Maps and stuff. Years ago, like about 5 or 6 years ago, I installed a Android capable or Android powered stereo in my 2004 F-150. And it was pretty good, but it was trying to do everything inside of the head unit. It was trying to put a decent processor, a decent amount of RAM and everything in there. But that stereo didn't have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. This does. So I'm really using my phone. The processor's got good GPS, good processor, good, it has, internet connection through my phone. So all that can basically be borrowed by this head unit. So this head unit doesn't have to be extremely powerful. As long as it can use this extremely powerful phone, I'm in good shape. So guys, that's what we're going to be looking at today. And for full disclosure, Haudio did reach out and they did send me this for review. But it is also absolutely true that 2 of my other vehicles have Android Auto or an Apple CarPlay capable head units. So whenever I would get in my truck, I would feel like, man, I'm really missing something. So I wanted to get an Android Auto capable stereo or Apple CarPlay. In this case, it's both, obviously. So when they hit me up, I'm like, hey, this sounds perfect. So I can go ahead and get this in the truck and we can be looking good. So like I said, guys, you got the bracket. So that's gonna go, on the side here and allow you to get mounted up. Do got some kind of a frame, and that may be needed. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, depending on your install. So in here, well, let's take a quick look here. Now, this unit does come with a camera. So it's come with a reverse cam. It's got plenty of wire and you can get all hooked up there. Now, I do already have a reverse cam. So hopefully I can just use what I have instead of having to run in everything new, but we will see. This is the GPS satellite. So, or satellite antenna rather. So this is what would go in here. And then you have all your line out. So in my truck, I actually do have some subwoofers and I have a 4-channel amp for all my, regular door speakers. So I will definitely be using these to, get the sound to the amps. I won't really need these. I don't have any speakers directly connected to my head unit now, and I won't be when I'm using this. So it looks like I most likely will be able to just use this and use the camera I have, because these are pretty standard. Like the camera, you got your video, you got your power. That's pretty standard, guys. And then, here you're gonna have your power. It's red, 12-volt power, and you're gonna have your actual video feed. So my truck already has this from my previous setup. So I likely will not have to use this, but if I have to, I will install that. All right, guys, so all there is to do now is to go ahead and get this thing installed. So right now we're inside of my 2004 Ford F-150. Guys, this is like, what is it, a 22-year-old truck? And this is not the original stereo, but I did replace this about 5 years ago. And this is just one of those stereos, it's running Android, and it was kind of cool at the time. But to be honest, I ended up getting my wife a new car, and her car has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and it's just way slicker than this. You know, it just works so much better. Hey guys, this isn't going to be a detailed step-by-step instruction on how to install the stereo, but I will show a couple of things here and there. If it was a full video, it would probably take like 40 minutes. Nobody would watch it. So I just kind of want to give a bit of an overview on what some of the things you might be looking at when installing a stereo like this. So right here, I'm just making note of what is plugged into what. So I've taken some pictures and just making sure I know which wires are going to what thing. So check those out, guys. Here's the old one. Here's the new. Real slick. Real slick. Look at that. So when you're connecting a stereo like this, that's got a bunch of different inputs and stuff, you kind of would have it hanging out a little bit and then get it all mounted in later. So I'm going to wait on the vehicle's antenna. Let me get this stuff plugged in. So we have a USB. So you see this, we got this on this side, got USB on the other. And okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug in into one of these. So then that'll make one of my ports here work. You know, you can actually plug in something and have direct USB access or USB connection directly to here. Once this is plugged in, so this will be, it's gonna go in here. Inside of the box, there was another cable just like this. So I was able to get both of my USB type A ports going and hooked up to the stereo. So guys, if you were using like the classic speakers, that's, you know, the wiring, the classic wiring that would go to all the different things in the car, you would be using this. Now, I do need this for some of the wires, for such as the remote wire, and looks like they're ground. So I will need some of this, but as far as like all of these wires for speakers, I don't need, but I will need this. So back to the back of here, this is gonna go right here. And essentially this is how we actually bring in power to the head unit itself. So you definitely need it. Just like I said, I just don't need all these different wires. So line out subwoofer. For me, it is one of these two. I took pictures. So let me see. Yeah, so it's the clear looking one. So that goes to my sub, or to my mono amp. Got two subs in the back. So that'll go for that. I'm gonna kind of be creating some temporary connections. Then that way I can test everything out. And then I will be doing the final connections. So this here, it's gonna go into that port. And so here's my old harness, is still all down in here from the old stereo. And the camera is still standard in that way. So I'll connect the old camera there. I'll connect this. So I like to solder my connections and heat shrink them. As you can see here, most of these are heat shrunk. I got some tape on a couple of them, but most of these are heat shrunk. I like that a lot better because it seems like when you don't do that, you know, you get to bouncing around, and maybe 6 months later, 9 months later, something comes undone. It usually don't happen too much in the head unit. I notice more in the stereo equipment that I might have in the back. Stuff get to moving around. So I just like to solder and heat shrink when I can. But right now I'm just gonna do some electric tape. Like I said, this will work, and it'll probably work forever, but I just like to do other stuff when I can. So guys, right now, let me show you something. Now, normally you want to disconnect your battery. Now on this truck, I don't drive it a lot, so sometimes the battery it'll just sit here because I don't drive it for weeks at a time, and it'll die. So I installed this little relay that basically disconnects the battery. When I hit off, it disconnects the battery. This truck has no power. There's nothing I can do with power in this truck until I hit on. So I can cut these power wires and I can do what I need to do because my power is already off. But you should disconnect the battery. So here's my 12-volt power that will be connecting to the 12-volt power here. We'll get that figured out. Essentially, all this needs to be cut. Here's a dimmer, illuminator. So here's the old harness out of the old stereo. All that is gone. So I'm looking for power and ground. So here is accessory ignition plus. So that's power. This is constant power. Yeah, so B is just battery. So this is the constant on. So we're just gonna sit that in there like so for now. All right, so now I'm gonna restore power back to this truck by hitting this button. All right, I think my battery's a little low because it has been sitting for weeks. Oh, look at that. I still have this screen protector on here. I don't want to quite take that off yet. So it's going right into the interface, and boom. Look at that, guys. Right into Android Auto. So just immediately, I've got my apps, my Android Auto stuff. Look at all this. Spotify, I got my Patreon, of course my maps, messages, Facebook Messenger, calendar, you know, WhatsApp, YouTube Music, because that's what I use. I use YouTube Music. Discord. So, I mean, guys, there you go. So at this point, I need to figure out which wire is actually sending the signal to turn on my amps. We'll get these amps on, and then we'll keep pushing forward. So the radio was playing some music. I don't want to get a copyright strike on YouTube, so I figured I would just voice over this section. So what I'm doing is I'm getting ready to program the steering wheel controls so I can use the, you know, volume up, down, track forward, skip, and back. So the first one I did was volume down. I just pressed that on the stereo there, and now it's wanting me to input. So I input volume down on my steering wheel. So it recorded that signal. So next one I'm going to do is volume up. And here we are. Now the radio is waiting for the input for volume up. And I just hit it on the stereo. That's all we got to do. I do the track forward and track back. And that's all I really have on my steering wheel for this model of vehicle. So all that was set up fairly easy, fairly quickly. Now this stereo does it's 64 gigs of internal like hard drive space, so you could in theory like get you a thumb drive and download you some MP3s, some pictures, some videos, and you could just copy that over to this. So this is a video that is locally. It is just a little example video that came on there, and this screen, guys, the camera doesn't really do it justice. The screen is actually really impressive, very clear, very vibrant screen. So this little example video that they have, it just kind of shows that. So look at those colors, guys. But like I said, in person, it looks a lot better. Again, I had to switch to voiceover because just at different points I'm playing music. I don't want to get copyright striked. So here we are. So if you did want to, upload some video or MP3s for that matter, you can just play them locally, kind of like an old school MP3 player. You can just you have up to 64 gigs. Well, it looks like about 12% was already used just from more or less the operating system and everything. So you got like 56 gigs of space you could work with. And this is where you would get your equalizer. And right here is where I turned on the subwoofer output. And I was looking for that for a second. So that's what I needed to get my actual subwoofer to output out of that subwoofer outline. Check this out. I took this off because this is actually a piece that is made for the F-150 so that it can accept standard double DIN head units. So I took it off the unit I was using and I'm going to put it on this new unit. Now this comes with this, and I could make this work and get it all lined up, but it's going to be a lot easier just go ahead and use this because it has everything lined up for me. To use these brackets that come with it along with the frame. So my frame will be able to go over here. And the reason why, because the holes that's in the side piece, they just don't line up here. So I'm going to use the metal frame with this thing that I have here. So I just wanted to get that there, and then I can tighten these down. So right now I am on my home Wi-Fi, but I do have a hotspot of capability on my cell phone. So if I was out and about, I could do this.
I was surprised. You're having a baby. That's great.
Okay, yeah, there you go. YouTube in the car. So there you have it, guys. I've got it all installed, and as you can see, it is quite a nice fit. I am using that bezel that is built for my car, the plastic piece that's around, and guys, it's a clean install. So of course, this is wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. I don't have to plug in anything to get this to work. It just works. Here you can use your hotspot. If you hotspot through your phone or something, you could go to the Play Store. You can download all kinds of stuff and really do all kinds of stuff. So, it gives you a lot of options, but the coolest, most slickest part is just the Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. You just hop in the car and it just works, That's what we're all looking for. I did also want to take a second to show the backup camera. So I've got it all hooked up when I place the car to reverse. the backup camera just takes over, and as you can see, it the screen and everything displays quite well. When I put the car back into park or drive or whatever, it's gonna go right back into Android Auto. So there it is, guys. I think the install is nice and clean. I think all the functionality works as described. I think this is a winner, guys. If it works just like any other Android Auto device I've had, then these things are just really, really helpful. It just makes everything so much better. You don't have to take your phone out of your pocket. It just works. If you are interested in picking up one of these head units, go ahead and check the description. There should be a link and you can go ahead and buy one.